Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee. And prior to our meeting, I wish to read our Pembroke Land Acknowledgement Statement. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of the Council and the community that the City of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. We'll now call the meeting to order. And can I ask for approval of the agenda, please? So moved by Romeo, second by Marcel. All in favor? Carried. Minutes of the meeting of April the 28th having been circulated, are there any errors or omissions to the minutes? If not, can I ask for their approval? Moved by Marie-Josie, second by Ed. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Yes.
Yes, I would like to recuse myself from the first item of business. Z5 2025.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now on to new business. The first item is Z5 25 268 Isabella Street. One.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant, Peter Purdy, is proposing an art gallery / studio in an existing mixed-use building at 268 Isabella Street. This mixed-use building consists of a currently vacant commercial unit on the ground floor, as well as 5 residential dwelling units in the above stories. The property is currently zoned local commercial special exception 7 zone by the zoning bylaw. This site-specific zoning states that, quote, the permitted uses shall be restricted to a business or professional office, a convenience store, a personal services establishment, and or a parking lot accessory to a permitted use. So as both art gallery and studio are defined uses under section 2 of the zoning bylaw, and as neither of these are included as permitted uses under the current site-specific zoning, a zoning bylaw amendment to a new site-specific zoning with art gallery and studio added as permitted uses is required. So the proposed local commercial special exception 2 zoning will maintain the previous C1-7 zone provisions, including permitted uses, with the primary key difference between these two being that of the definitions of art gallery and studio are added as permitted uses under the new zoning. Regarding standard local commercial zone provisions, for the property, these are met and or exceeded for minimums for lot area, lot frontage, front yard setback, and rear yard setback. For the existing mixed-use building, only minimum interior side yard setback where an interior side yard setback abuts a residential zone is not met. This is currently at 7.35 feet, which is 12.65 feet short of the required 20. Due to the age of the existing building, which was constructed in 1901, this deficiency, we believe, would likely be considered legal nonconforming, but it is being included as a housekeeping item of this application, seeing as we are already doing a site-specific zone, so we can add this as site-specific relief. With only this single housekeeping item not meeting standard C1 zone provisions, the application can be viewed as being very much in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. Regarding parking, the zoning bylaw requires a minimum of 2.5 spaces per 100 square meters of gross floor area for an art gallery or a studio. As the commercial unit on the ground floor that Mr. Purdy is proposing to use is approximately 139.36 square meters, This would require 4 standard parking spaces for the proposed use. These 4 parking spaces can easily be accommodated in the existing front parking area. Now, regarding the existing 5 residential dwelling units that are in the above stories of the building, the zoning bylaw requires a single parking space per dwelling unit in this case. So a total of 5 parking spaces would be required. These are and can continue to be provided in the existing parking area to the rear of the property. So as such, the intent of the zoning bylaw regarding parking can also be considered to be met. The proposed zoning with the additional use of art gallery / studio can be viewed as being compatible in the neighborhood. The property is located right near the general border of the central commercial C3 zone of downtown. Isabella Street itself has a diverse mixture of zoning, including for commercial uses. On the same block of Isabella Street is Murphy Funeral Home, and slightly further west is Schmecken Bakery. Both of these uses generate higher traffic than the proposed art gallery studio is expected to, and yet these uses coexist with the surrounding residential zoning and uses without issue. Regarding the official plan, the property is currently designated as residential by Schedule A of the official plan. However, regarding uses under this definition, the official plan states that certain compatible uses may be permitted in a separate zoning category without amendment to this plan, provided that adequate measures are taken to ensure that the residential character of the surrounding neighborhood is not adversely affected. And further, that no use will be permitted that is detrimental to the residential character of the area by virtue of obtrusive lighting or signs, parking requirements, traffic flows, or on undue evidence of commercial activity. So the existing building and zoning for local commercial uses has been longstanding, and the city is not aware of any issues relating to its proximity to residential properties. The addition of the proposed new uses can be viewed as being a relatively minor change from the existing permitted uses. Further, no obtrusive lighting or signage is proposed. Traffic flows are expected to be relatively low, meaning that the proposed uses will not be detrimental to the residential character of the neighborhood. While Mr. Purdy is proposing no addition to the existing building or expansion of the existing building's footprint, but a building permit would be required for any significant interior works required for the conversion of the space to an art gallery studio. And I believe for that, Mr. Purdy has already been in touch with the chief building official. Regarding the provincial planning statement, the provincial planning statement 2024 states that planning authorities should support the achievement of complete communities by accommodating an appropriate range and mix of land uses, housing options, transportation options, to meet long-term needs of the community and to improve social equity and overall quality of life for people of all ages, abilities, and incomes. As Mr. Purdy is proposing to provide a new local commercial business and service to the community in the form of an art gallery and a studio, and as art and artistry is viewed by many as an important aspect in terms of quality of life in a community for a diverse range of people in the community, and as the proposed location is located in an area with an appropriate existing range and mix of land uses, this application can be viewed as being in keeping with the province's direction under the current planning statement. And therefore, the planning department is recommending the approval of this application for 268 Isabella Street to be for the zoning to change from a local commercial 7 zone to a local commercial 2 zone. Thank you. Mr. Chair, we have received a single informational inquiry. No submissions were received.
Yes, thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to talk to you about this proposal. I myself, I'm an Algonquin artist, originally from Mattawa, Ontario, and for the past 30 years, I've been working out of Ottawa, doing a plethora of things within the arts, from set design to also being able to run a monthly art competition in the city. For the past 4 years now, I've been residing here in Pembroke because it was kind of halfway home, halfway to work. And my wife and I both have completely fallen in love with the community. It's been extremely welcoming. I've also had the opportunity to work with the school board as well as with Bumpy Road Studio as well, teaching classes. And last year, we had the opportunity with the school board to do a community showing of student work at the mall. And at that time, several parents were asking me if I was available for private classes, as well as I was there every day talking to the people coming in, and they kept saying over and over again how much Pembroke needs something like this. So yeah, I'm excited to do it. I've been teaching art for over 20 years. It's my dharma, and there is a need. I firmly believe that the arts in Canada generates about $60 billion. Visual art, about 4% of our national product. And we are one of the only communities in the Ottawa Valley that doesn't have representation for artists in the area. And we are here within the Arts District, and I think that it would be an absolute addition to the city that will bring more tourists in and generate revenue for everybody.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak to this application? Can we hear now from members of our committee? Yes, Romeo.
I would like, first of all, to welcome you to the community. I think that the Ottawa Valley, the Upper Ottawa Valley, there's a lot of art. As a former administrator of high schools, of 3 different high schools, whenever I had to relax, I used to go to the art department, and there's a lot of hidden talent in this valley. And we need people like you who can come along and bring it out, make it blossom. So I'm looking forward to the opening of your gallery and to see some of the work that you've done. So I have no questions. Just welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Ed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for coming. I agree with wholeheartedly with, keep calling you Counselor, Romeo Levis, a member of the committee. The arts draws people to the community. And I know in Mattawa a number of years ago, I don't know if the studio still exists, Claremont Duval, is he still there? Is that still there?
He recently retired, but he is still creating out of his home studio.
Yes, I just want to comment on that. I know that people from all over North America went to a little place such as Mattawa to buy some of those art pieces. I visited the studio myself, and I was quite amazed that in a small community of that nature, that they would have a studio of that caliber, that gallery. The other thing I wanted to just discuss is, will you be displaying various pieces of arts, or will it be mainly Aboriginal, or?
No, sir. I'd like to keep it open for all artists in the area, including Indigenous artists as well. But I want it to be inclusive. I want it to be a form of bringing this community together.
I know that, there are a lot of wood carvers in the area. Abe Patterson, who created our totem pole, Hubert Klatt, where many pieces of his art were, given to political figures such as the Kennedy family, the Shah of Iran. Local wood carver has these pieces, all over the world. So that puts Pembroke on the map. Claudette Spence, Barbara Blackstein, of course, the artists, Barbara has created some beautiful art pieces as well as Claudette Spence. They could hang in the Louvre as far as I'm considered. So there's a lot of talent here. I hope that you'll investigate some of that talent, and perhaps I'll be interested in displaying their works in your gallery. I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Marcel.
Mr. Chair, the fact that the gentleman is from Mattawa really is welcome to Pembroke.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with Mattawa, having come from North Bay. So I see no objections to the presentation. Mr. Chair, I will move that we accept it as given from our planner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second, Ed. Any further discussion? Yes. Rob.
Just a comment, I don't know, I'm talking about an artist, talking about Mattawa, Armand Emo, that was from Mattawa.
Yes.
And he was an artist in this area for many a times. Many of his paintings are hanging in the different places. We have one at home, but he was a Mattawa guy.
Yes, sir. We were very lucky in the Ottawa Valley. We're actually the face of Canadian art when you consider the group of 7 and their works in Algonquin Park. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from here. I grew up with Mr. Duval as a close family friend. Taught me canoeing as a young boy, as well as a few times when I got in trouble, I got sent over to clean his paintbrushes. And yeah, no, there is no lacking of artists here in the area. All we need is a great place for them to display and a safe spot for everybody to create. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome back, Marie Josie.
Mr. Chair, we should have a seconder to the motion.
Well, we did. Ed
Okay.
seconded it. Yeah, he did, yeah. Okay, B 2025, 250 Quarry Road.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, could I request
Yes,
that we proceed with item 6C first, as I believe the applicant, Simon Kasperzak, is already present for that item, whereas the remaining items, I don't have an applicant planned to be present. So just
Okay.
for his time, would we be able to proceed with 6C?
great. With the, do we agree to this? Good, thank you. Okay, here we go. Item C then, B 225, and A 325 and A 425, 623 McKay Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you.
So our applicant, Simon Kasperzak of Adam Kasperzak Surveying Limited, has submitted a sketch in support of an application to sever for 623 McKay Street with the intention of the creation of a new lot, which would be 619 McKay Street, for future residential development. The existing property is zoned residential type 2 by the zoning bylaw. Currently, a converted dwelling of 2 dwelling units and a detached garage exists on the property. So the proposed retained lot, which would remain 623 McKay Street, would have a frontage of approximately 13.4 meters, a depth of approximately 23.55 meters for an approximate lot area of 310 square meters. So this proposed retained lot would maintain the R2 zoning, but the proposed severance would result in a minimum lot area deficiency of 154.5 square meters and a minimum lot frontage deficiency of 1.84 meters, which triggers the requirement for a minor variance for the proposed retained lot. For this proposed retained lot, additionally, existing deficiencies of the current converted dwelling, which was constructed in 1908, and the current detached garage, which was constructed in 1945. These would both remain on the proposed retained lot, and we have added these existing deficiencies to the application because we believe they could be considered legal non-conforming. But as we're doing a minor variance, we have added them to the application. And these housekeeping items are for minimum front yard setback, minimum rear yard setback, and minimum lot depth, as well as accessory uses setbacks for the rear property line, and that being for the detached garage. So the proposed severed lot, which would be known as 619 McKay Street, and would also maintain the R2 zoning, would have a frontage of approximately 18.2 meters, a depth of approximately 23.62 meters for an approximate lot area of 430 square meters. Now, a minor variance is required for the proposed severed lot to address deficiencies for minimum lot area, deficiency of 34.5 square meters, minimum lot depth, a deficiency of 6.86 meters. And again, these would result from the proposed severance. So hence the minor variance application for the proposed severed lot. Regarding parking, the zoning bylaw requires 1.5 parking spaces per dwelling unit for converted dwellings. So in this case, with 2 dwelling units, that means a total of 3 parking spaces are required for the proposed retained lot. Ample existing driveway space exists on what would be the proposed retained lot, and they have been able to and would continue to be able to accommodate the required parking for the existing building on the retained lot. No new driveway would be needed for this proposed retained lot. Now, for the proposed severed lot, parking requirements would be dealt with upon receiving a site plan for any future development. The only thing of note there is that regarding, so there's curbing, a boulevard, and sidewalk that already exist on the applicable portion of McKay Street in front of this land. So approvals and work from the operations department would be required for any future ingress, egress for the proposed severed lot. Regarding the official plan, the property is designated residential by Schedule A of the official plan. And regarding this designation, the plan states that the city will encourage all forms of residential intensification that creates a potential supply of new housing units. And this will be encouraged in built-up areas of the city where there is sufficient existing or planned infrastructure to accommodate. As the proposed severance and the 2 minor variance applications will absolutely support this aim of the official plan, allowing for residential infill and intensification in an already built-up area of the city with existing infrastructure. These applications are completely in line with that direction of the official plan. Regarding servicing, the official plan requires that all residential development, that it be adequately serviced with municipal water and sanitary sewer services. And the existing building on the proposed retained lot is currently on full servicing, and these same services are available on McKay Street. And again, any future development would be subject, once we receive a proposal, to a building permit, and that application process would ensure the verification of adequate capacity of the municipal servicing to the new development. Regarding roadways, Schedule B of the official plan designates this portion of McKay Street as a local road. However, the property is within close proximity to the portion of McKay Street that is designated as a collector road. As well, it is in close proximity to the collector roads of Bell Street and River Road. These all provide strong vehicular transportation links throughout the city via their connections to the arterial of Pembroke Street, as well as to beyond the city with their connections to Highway 17. The provincial planning statement 2024 states that planning authorities shall provide for an appropriate range and mix of housing options and densities by permitting and facilitating all types of residential intensification. So again, these applications are completely in line with the provincial planning statement, as as they will have proposed residential intensification in a previously developed area to introduce new housing options that result in a net increase in residential units. A couple points on conditions. A 5% parkland dedication fee is required under the Planning Act for the proposed severed lands alone. A registered plan of survey depicting the severed lands would be required to be supplied to the Secretary Treasurer. In the case of this application, I'm sure that won't be a problem, as the applicant is an Ontario land surveyor. And so the Planning Department is recommending that the committee approve, subject to conditions, applications for consent to sever and 2 minor variances for 623 and what would become 619 McKay Street.
Thank you, Owen. Were there any submissions received regarding this application? Owen?
No inquiries nor submissions were received.
Good, thank you very much. Ask for comments from the committee. Yes, please, Romeo.
Not too long ago, this probably would have been turned down cold. However, I think with the Ontario Planning Act changing and with the emphasis on building homes, new homes, infilling, certainly this is the typical type of application that I believe the governments had in mind to inform or to assist the municipalities to help with the shortage of homes and building and so on. So it's, I have no problem with it. Matter of fact, it falls right into what the province wants us to do.
Any further comments from the committee? Can we have a motion, please? Sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. We do have our applicant,
Yes,
Mr. Kasperzak is here to represent.
Yes, sir.
I don't have many comments. I appreciate hearing what we're projecting to do for Mr. Slaughter. I think the only thing I can say is, Owen, I appreciate your guidance on this application and helping us put it together properly. You had called our office and suggested that the minor variance be kind of proactive on severed and retained lots to make up for the deficiencies on those two. So I appreciate that. And I think with the proper minor variance to make up for the deficiencies of the lot, I think it's in keeping with the planning statements. And I don't have a site plan prepared yet. I don't know if Ryan is going to have our office do it or if he's going to do it himself. I know he's proposing some kind of a development on the severed lands, excuse me. But I hope that we can approve it on the basis that some kind of development is going to happen on parcel A, severed, and go from there. I appreciate the committee hearing the application.
Thank you. Any further comments? We have a motion then by Marie-José, seconded by Marcel. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Move now to B1 2025 250 Quarry Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the applicant for this application, Matthew Bradley of Bradley Law Professional Corporation, on behalf of his clients, the trustees of Resurrection Lutheran Church, Mr. Bradley has submitted a site plan proposing the severance of a rear portion of the current property of 250 Quarry Road so that the proposed severed lands become a lot addition to the abutting 260 Quarry Road. So the existing property that is the main subject of this application, 250 Quarry Road, is zoned General Industrial Special Exception 5 by the zoning bylaw. Currently, a single building, which is being used as a place of worship, being the church, is located on the property. The site-specific zoning was originally approved as a zoning bylaw amendment in 1995, simply to add the permitted use of place of worship so that the building that already existed on the property could be used as a church. Now, the church they would like to sever the rear portion of this property for it to be sold to neighboring 260 Quarry Road. So the proposed retained lot, what will remain 250 Quarry Road, would maintain its current frontage, approximately 36.73 meters, and it would have an approximate depth of 64.47 meters and an approximate lot area of 2,367 square meters. So this proposed retained lot would be able to maintain the zoning, and it would meet all applicable standard M1 zone provisions. The proposed severed lot, again to become a lot addition to the neighboring property, would have a width, not fronting on a public street in this case, of approximately 18.2 meters, a depth of approximately 45.72 meters, for an approximate lot area of 1,679.3 square meters. So this proposed severed lot, for the time being, would maintain its M1 Special Exception 5 zoning. However, the planning department, we have added this to our list of housekeeping items for a future housekeeping zoning bylaw amendment, where we would simply return this zoning back to a standard M1 zoning. So the proposed severed lot, it would meet all applicable M1 general zone provisions as a lot addition to 260 Quarry Road. At this time, there is no proposed development of the proposed severed lands. The owners of 260 Quarry Road that would be accepting this land, they simply would like additional vacant land for potential future parking and or storage. And these accessory uses would be permitted under the M1 zoning. Regarding parking requirements, the existing parking area of 250 Quarry Road for the church, the existing parking area is fully located on the proposed retained lot and there would be no change to it. So those parking requirements can be considered to be met, as well as the parking requirements for 260 Quarry Road can also be considered to be met, and they can potentially expand those now. So both properties are designated industrial by Schedule A of the official plan. And this designation specifies that the predominant use of land in the areas so designated shall be for industrial uses. With this application, the proposed severance for a lot addition, it will maintain the existing permitted industrial use. We can view this application as being in keeping with the designation's direction in the official plan. Regarding employment areas, the official plan states that council will support the protection of existing employment areas. And for the purpose of this plan, employment areas means those areas designated as industrial and economic enterprise. So this application meets this directive of the official plan as it maintains an existing employment area that will not be affected. Regarding industrial objectives under the official plan, it notes that developing and maintaining the industrial park to facilitate the successful operation of the industries that it accommodates, as well as ensuring that proposed improvements to local industries throughout generally enhance the areas in which they are located. So this application meets these industrial objectives, as the severed lands becoming a lot addition to 260 Quarry Road will help to facilitate any expansion of use, which is a permitted industrial use. So as with the last application, the portion of McKay Street that the subject properties are in close proximity of is actually designated as a local road by Schedule B of the official plan, but in actual effect and practice, I think we all know that this portion of McKay Street is relatively heavily used, and it provides a direct vehicular link to Pembroke Street East and Highway 148 through Laurentian Valley, as well as having connections to Highway 17 via the collector roads of Town Line and Paul Martin Drive. So this places this location for an industrial supplier quite ideally in terms of receiving contractors and other customers from outside of the city of Pembroke, and serves as an entry point for these contractors and customers into the city itself. Finally, regarding servicing, the official plan requires that planning for sewage and water services shall direct and accommodate expected growth and development. Both properties have existing municipal services. And again, as no building permit or development is planned at this point for the proposed severed lands, this direction of the official plan can be viewed as being as continuing to be met. And finally, the Provincial Planning Statement 2024 states that planning authorities shall promote economic development and competitiveness by providing for an appropriate mix and range of uses to meet long-term needs. This application is proposing to expand an economic use in an existing employment area, and so it can be viewed as being consistent with the current provincial planning statement. Regarding conditions, we have a condition recommended under the Planning Act, a 2% in the case of commercial and industrial uses. Parkland dedication fee is required to be paid as per the Planning Act, and that a registered plan of survey depicting the severed lands be supplied to the Secretary Treasurer. With those conditions and conditions that each of these applications is passed respectively, the Planning Department is recommending that the committee approve the application for consent to sever for 250 Quarry Road.
Thank you. Were there any submissions, Owen, regarding this application?
No inquiries nor submissions were received.
Thank you. Committee members, yes, Ed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Seem to recall this in my hazy memory when they came forward to have this church built or established in an industrial park area. And at that time, I had some issues with it. I'm not sure if it's common to have a church in an industrial park area. It seems rather odd that it would be more so in a residential area or an area abutting to a residential area where people could go, as opposed to having a church service when trucks are being loaded and unloaded, et cetera. I find that a little strange. But my question is, it has been there for a number of years. My question is, the piece of property that they're going to be purchasing, the church is purchasing, correct?
Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair. No, Councillor Jack. No, it's the opposite. The church would be selling the severed portion of land to the neighboring property, which is an industrial use.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry, I've got that mixed up.
Yeah. No problem.
Just refresh me. So church properties today are tax exempt, is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe they are tax exempt, but I would have to confirm that with Treasury staff.
Okay, just a clarification. I'd like to find out. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Clarification for yours truly, more of edification than anything else. Here's the piece of property that's going to be landlocked. So I'm just wondering, thank you very much. This is a piece of property that's basically is landlocked as we look at it right now. But is there any movement or anything that's going to be done that will meld that property with the other property? In other words, are we going to send them one tax bill, or is it going to be two separate tax bills?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So one of the planning department's conditions for consent to sever would be that an undertaking from a solicitor be supplied that the severed lands become a lot addition to the abutting property. So we would have we intend for the lots to merge. So there would be a single tax bill, a single PIN. It would be a single property. Now, I have been informed this afternoon by a particular committee member who happens to have significant legal expertise. There has been a discussion regarding the effectiveness of this condition that I will be looking into with the Director of Planning, Building, and Bylaw Enforcement after the meeting and for applications of this nature going forward. But for the time being, we're sticking with the recommendation that, and actually this was there was help from, again, this particular committee member, that an undertaking from a solicitor be received, as opposed to, we were originally going to ask for a letter of intent, but yes.
Yes, Ed.
The question, Mr. Chair, when a lot merges, do we require a separate survey on that merging?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, it's a condition of the severance that a registered plan of survey depicting the severed lands is supplied to the Secretary Treasurer of this committee. So yes, there would be a survey of the severed lands would be required.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Can we have a motion, please?
It was so
Moved by Romeo. Seconded by Marcel to approve this application. All in favor? Thank you very much. A5 2515 Stewart Street. Can we have you on?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the applicant for this application, Andrew Plummer, has submitted a site plan proposing a 4-unit row dwelling. That's so 4 primary units, along with 4 accessory dwelling units each, for his company's property at 15 Stewart Street. This property is zoned residential type 3 special exception 10 by the zoning bylaw. The standard R3 zoning includes the permitted use of row dwelling, and the site-specific zoning of this property, which was originally passed in 1995, grants relief from lot area and lot frontage requirements for middle row dwelling units. Now, in this case, Mr. Plummer's submitted site plan actually, it does not take advantage of the reliefs granted under this original site-specific zoning. And so it goes above and beyond this and meets and exceeds all applicable standard R3 requirements for a row dwelling, except for one, that being the requirement for a group setback. So regarding a group setback, the zoning bylaw requires for row dwellings that not more than 3 consecutive row dwelling units be constructed with their front and rear yard facing exterior walls in a continuous straight line. Additional permitted dwellings in a row, they are to be set back or forward a distance of not less than 1.2 meters from the alignment of the others. In this case, Mr. Plummer's site plan shows 4 consecutive row dwelling units in a continuous straight line. So it's exceeding the permitted number of 3 consecutive units by 1. So numerically, the requested relief can be viewed as minor in nature and in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw, as it only exceeds the standard requirement by a single dwelling unit. This requested relief can be viewed as being absolutely compatible with the character of the neighborhood and desirable within the neighborhood, because immediately abutting the property of this application is 3 Stewart Street and 7 Stewart Street, also both owned and recently developed by Mr. Plummer's company. And each of these have an identical 4-unit row dwelling with accessory units, identical to the one proposed by this application. The difference being that in the case of these 2 abutting properties, site-specific relief was granted from the group setback requirement by a zoning bylaw amendment in 2022. Regarding parking, the zoning bylaw requires, actually, I'm sorry, for the existing site-specific R310 zoning, it requires 1 parking space per dwelling unit. So if we are to apply this formula for a total of 8 dwelling units, 8 parking spaces are required. Mr. Plummer's site plan shows this being exceeded as he is proposing 12 parking spaces, which would come to 1.5 parking spaces per dwelling unit. These 12 spaces also exceed the standard zoning bylaw parking requirements for row dwelling units and accessory dwelling units, which would these would require a total of 12 parking spaces had site-specific relief not been previously granted. But regardless of which formula is used, Mr. Plummer's site plan meets the number of parking space requirements. And again, so it's absolutely in keeping with that intent of the zoning bylaw for parking. The official plan Schedule A designates 15 Stewart Street as being residential. And I read this for for one of my reports already, so I'll try to cover it quickly. But the designation indicates that the city shall encourage all forms of residential intensification to create a supply of new housing units. And the requested relief of this application will absolutely support this aim of the official plan by allowing for residential infill and intensification in a built-up area of the city with existing infrastructure. The provincial planning statement states that planning authorities shall provide for a range and mix of housing options and densities. Again, a key point of this is regarding residential intensification. And as this application will support proposed residential intensification, providing, again, new housing options in a previously developed area and a net increase of residential units, this application is absolutely in keeping with the provincial planning statement. And so the planning department is recommending that the committee approve this application for 15 Stewart Street to grant relief from the group setback requirement for a row dwelling in a residential type 310 zone.
Thank you. Ed.
Mr. Chair, sitting with the applicant around the council table, I do believe that I would have a perceived conflict of interest, and I would like to remove myself from the vote.
Thank you. Further discussion on the application? Yes, Romeo.
I seem to remember an application coming in for a subdivision agreement for that whole section. And I don't know if it's still in vogue or what, but I'm seeing some what I call piecemeal puzzle type of development going on here. I have no problem with it, by the way. Okay, this is not meant to be negative. It's meant to be, let's have some clarification and visibility here. I mean, I'm looking at this application. The address is going to be 15 Stewart Street. So I'm wondering, is Steele Street going to be actually a street, or is that just going to be a driveway going in and going across to Mary Street, which will not be undertaken by the city? I'm not sure about that, because it would be nice to see an overall plan in there, and I don't know if there is one. But my question is Steele Street going to be a street taken over by the city, or is it just going to be an ingress and egress street for those 8 units, along with the 8 units on the east side?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So council actually sold what was the road allowance for Steele Street to Mr. Plummer. So at this point, what would have been previously considered Steele Street will actually be a private drive.
Okay,
and
that makes sense.
And it will not, the plan at this point, it will not have through access onto Mary Street. It will only be accessed off of Stewart Street, hence the Stewart Street mailing addresses for these for the applicable lots.
Follow up,
Yes.
is there any plan, is Mary Street going to be pushed over all the way to Jean Street, or I guess it's Forest Road at that point? Is that going to be a through street now that there is no railroad track there?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So there, you referred earlier to a plan of subdivision for that area, which there was a draft plan in that came forward in the 90s. That was actually mainly for property to the north and west of what we're referring to now. And that would have taken into account lands that would have been accessed by a continuation of Mary Street. At this point, there are no definitive plans of extending Mary Street. And so yes, at this time, there are definitely no plans of extending Mary Street.
There is no, the city has nothing, no plans of how that's going to be developed, that section west of this development.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there is zoning in place that was put in place again, I believe, in the 90s when this may have become a subdivision and developed. That is not the case at this point, but that zoning still stands from I believe it was put in place in the 90s. And again, it is a residential special exception zoning for a bulk of the large property that you're referring to, as well as commercial zoning that would front onto Forest Road. But there are, beyond the zoning being in place, that's about as far as concrete plans go at the moment.
Because based on what's been happening, we're having piecemeal development here. And I'm looking at it from the city's point of view, especially the infrastructure. If you're going to be involving there with water and sewers and so on, I think that the development or that part of the city would like to know how things are going to be done there in order for configuration. You don't want to end up with any, what do you call those kind of loops like we had there off Angus Campbell Drive, which engineers just don't like. I mean, they cause major problems. So it would be nice to see an overall picture of how it's going to go. And I'm sure that the public works would like to know too. Because if you keep just adding pieces of spaghetti here and there, something's going to happen. It's not going to work out. Anyways, I'm just musing out loud.
Further comments? Can we have a motion one way or the other?
I can propose to approve the motion, whatever.
Okay.
Losing my words today.
Can we have a seconder? Marcel?
I would just like to comment.
Yes.
I'm supporting the motion. I mean, I think it's great that this is being done. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to put a negative bent on there, but with my background in engineering and planning, I don't like this piecemeal development. That's all.
Any further comments? All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. So, past decision update on 124 Woodcrest.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at this committee's last meeting of April 28th, a single application, a minor variance for 124 Woodcrest Drive was heard. That application has just recently passed its 20-day appeal period successfully and is now final.
The next meeting is scheduled for Monday, June the 30th. Does that seem to meet everyone's approval? If so, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Marcel, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Very good. Lots of new homes.
Yes. Yes, yes.